Good day, gents, and welcome to another episode of Father's Fire. My name's Jody Sedrick, and every week we get together to explore the joys, the challenges, the triumphs, the sorrows, and yes, the fun of being a dad. And I tell you, it is a continual adventure, especially in this Sedrick home. The kids are like, "Dad, can we go out on the river, and will you come with us?" And I said no for the first time in a long time because I know the Boise River gets really, really cold at 7 o'clock at night, and it's less than 80 degrees. So I bowed out, which is very rare for me. So my kids are calling me old. So now I have to live that one down, but actually I had some work to do and they're like, "No, you're doing it because it's cold." And it probably was a little bit of both, if I'm being honest, but that's all good. So, but yeah, guys, just, every week we're getting together to explore and try to figure out what we can do to become better men, better fathers, and better husbands. I'm really, really excited today because I have another guest from TikTok. But before we get to that, I want to remind you that we're brought to you by the Speak Fire family and Rethinking Rich. All right, so good day to you, Mr. Jesse Belnap.
Thank you. Thanks for
Man,
having me on.
I'm super excited to have you on. So Jesse Belnap, if you're on TikTok, you need to go check him out. It's On The Go Fitness, which is on.the and then go_fitness. And so
as difficult as possible.
I'm like, and that's probably the biggest challenge with coming up with usernames, because if you're not the first in the game, you're coming up with some crazy name.
Yeah, or some long number, right? But
Yeah, so how I came across Jesse. So I'm just gonna paint the picture. So I'm actually doing research on TikTok. I'm not wasting time frivolously. I'm actually trying to find men that are good fathers, or I'm looking for fitness stuff because Judy and I are always working out. And so my For You page is kind of getting filled up with that. And all of a sudden I scroll across this guy in this big pink kiddie pool, all lounged out. I'm like, I got to talk to that guy.
yeah.
Because you got to be what, 6'2" or so?
Yeah, 6'3".
Yeah, and I think you actually got an adult sized kiddie pool, whereas me, I'm 5'6", and I just steal the kiddie pool.
Yeah. Yeah, it was an adult-sized kiddie pool. It was meant for adults, which that's part of what really surprised me. That's why I had to make the video,
The other thing that really caught my attention is obviously his handle, On The Go Fitness. And the second video that I saw of him was actually with his two daughters that are under 6, right?
Yep. Well, one's 7 and one is 4.
Okay, so that was a good guess. And so he's got one on each side of a broom, and he's doing pull-ups with them or push-ups with them, and they're just laughing and giggling. And I'm like, all right, this is a dad that's having fun with his kids. So let's talk about your kids. I mean, you got 2 beautiful girls. You have a wife that last TikTok I saw, she hit you with the beanbag.
Yeah, she's getting more involved, which is great. Yeah, so I have 2 girls. They're 7 and 4. My 7-year-old, she's actually almost 8. She'll be 8 in a month. Time flies, man. It's crazy. But yeah, from Utah, we've lived here pretty much my whole life. And I have been married for 11 years in August.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you.
That's awesome. So let's talk about being the father of 2 girls. I mean, because in my opinion, God really trusts men with girls.
Yeah.
And I think you recognize that Jody needed 4 boys before he got 2 girls. So how's that been? What has surprised you most about being the dad of 2 girls?
My patience a little bit, having to work on my patience. I'm a pretty patient guy, I think. But I definitely was not prepared for 2 girls, but I wouldn't change anything for the world, you know. I love them both dearly. But yeah, I mean, that's probably the biggest thing is just, you know, kind of they're two little emotional girls, right? And they're always going through something, it seems like. And so I really had to kind of come down to their level a little bit, you know, and to try to help figure out, you know, what's going on, how I can help them, how I can bond with them, you know, things like that. So it's been really fun, and it's been a huge learning experience.
So let's I like that phrase that you said, coming down to their level,
Hmm.
because I think a lot of times we as dads just expect certain things out of our kids, and we forget that we had to learn and grow and develop. And the first time scraping your knee was really traumatic.
Yeah.
Now you're like, brush it off. What are you talking about? That's a flesh wound.
Yeah.
So how is that? What are some key things that you've found really help you to get it, especially a young daughter's level to connect?
You know, it's trying to put myself in their shoes, you know, a little bit. Just like you said, you know, when they scrape their knee, when they fall down, it's really easy for me to just go, "Hey, get back up." You know, that didn't hurt. It was, you know, come on. But you know, to them, it's a very traumatic experience, or it could be. You know what I mean? So I really have to kind of put myself in their shoes so that I can sort of feel what they're going through, which kind of helps me to, you know, deal with the situation a little bit better.
So with girls, I have four boys, so being rugged, rough and tumble, that was easy for me. Unfortunately, I had rough and tumble boys. Even my kind of nerdy son, the one that was really into books, he was still rough and tumble.
Hmm.
And then getting my first girl, she is like the queen of the roost. I mean, she will take any of the boys out. She's very competitive. She's a very rugged, rough and tumble girl. And then I got my second daughter, who is exactly the opposite. I mean, she's all
Hmm.
drama and fashion and cosmetics and, Dad, let me do your hair and let me do your nails. How has that experience been for you with your two girls?
It's almost exactly the same as you know, just said. You know, my first daughter, um, you know, she was the number one, and my sister, who lives right next to us, has three boys, and their age. She has one that's close to my daughter's age, but then the rest are older. So she had to put up a lot with them, you know, wrestling, and she got into it, having fun. My 4 year old, she's the one who's, I think she changes her outfit 4 times a day at least. Drives my wife nuts, right? Because she's constantly having to do laundry. But she's the one who's always, you know, can I do your makeup? I can't tell you how many times I've had my eyeliner done by her or my nails painted. You know, there's so many times when I've gone to the gym and, you know, I'm changing out of my work clothes and I take my socks off and my buddy's like, "What's going on with your feet, man?" You know? But I love it. You know, I love it. I let him do it. You know, we have a good time doing that. But yeah, they are, you know, they have some similarities, but they're definitely different. So, you know, it's interesting how how that happens. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Two of them here in our household, yet they're very different.
Yeah, I still remember the first time my daughter came to me and said, "Hey, Dad, let me do your nails," and I'm like, I gotta go to the office tomorrow."
Yeah.
I go, "You can do my toes." She goes, "Okay,"
Mhm.
and and I felt really uncomfortable at first. I straight up, I just felt uncomfortable. But as we were visiting, and she started doing it, it became a time for her and I, just one on one to talk to each other. And she'd be down there filing them, and and I got to where I actually was enjoying it. And now she's like, "Dad, what color do you want?" So I'll pick out the brightest green or brightest blue, and she's like, "You sure you want that?" I'm like, "Yeah, let's go for it." So
That's awesome.
It's kind of funny to watch the evolution in myself.
Yeah.
So
I was the exact same way. It took me a minute, you know, in the beginning to get my nails, my makeup done, you know what I mean? But now, no problem. You want to do it, go for it, you know? So,
yeah, and you know what? It's really it's that connection time with you and your daughter, and it's I what I found is it's connecting on something that they value, something that they want to do, not something that dad says, "Hey, let's go throw the ball," or "Let's go, you know, to the movies."
yeah.
It's something that they're really interested in. And when you can connect on a level with your kids of the things that are important to their heart, it really does make a difference in that experience one on one with your kid.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I feel like those are the things that at least for me as a kid that I remember with my dad and mom, when they would involve me in some of those kind of personal type things. I still remember those, you know, and so hopefully those are things that as they grow up and get older that they'll remember. You know, Dad let me do this. He let me, you know. So
So I've never asked this question, so this is kind of a new question. Um, being, you know, when you guys had your daughters, how was your wife entrusting, or was she entrusting of you with the baby, especially her baby little girls? Was that easy for her, or was it like, oh, or was it even easy for you to take that first step as a dad with your baby girl?
you know, I think for my wife it was pretty easy. There was no pushback or anything like that. But I'll tell you, for me, I was nervous as heck. You know, I remember when my first daughter was born, my dad, so, I got to hold her for the first time. My parents came in with her parents, and, I was holding the baby, and my dad looks at me and he's like, relax, fine, because apparently I must have been, with my eyes wide, like, just making sure, please, don't do something stupid, so yeah, no, for me, it took me a little bit to trust myself, you know. I was definitely nervous to kind of hold them and, do different things, but that went away pretty quickly. And then the second one, of course, the second one, it's all good, right?
Just toss her to me. I
Yeah,
got her.
that's right. So
That's awesome. So, I mean, that, looking back, now, and I've had four kids. They're getting older, so it's fun to my youngest sister was at her house a couple weeks ago, and she brought her little minions, her little munchkins, and they're all like young, like yours are, and you know, it made me remember how fun those ages were. So, what is one or two things that have just really surprised you and that you've enjoyed about being a dad?
Ooh, things that have surprised me, I think, how much fun you can have with your kids just doing the little things, you know? Um, One of the videos that I have on TikTok, is a blow up slide. Not very big, it's very small, but my daughters love it, and so after work one day, I spent, I think, 2 hours or 3 hours just going down the slide, doing different things. Was it that fun? Not really, but it was fun to be with them, and it was
Yeah.
fun, seeing how excited they get. And I think that's probably one of the biggest things is just, how excited they get about, they get about the little things. And
Yeah, I love that example because I think a lot of times, especially when we're new dads and our kids want us to do something that's really outside of our comfort zone, and we're kind of looking at it going, that's kind of silly. I got to swallow my man card, put it on the side. You know what? I just got to be a kid again. And and I think that's one of the things that I've learned, now, especially as our family has always been very playful, and I just, to me, it's like, just jump in, be silly, be goofy. And I think one of my favorite memories of my kid is I used to always read stories to my kids at night, and I would do all different voices and characters and stuff, and I would invent crazy, silly songs to wake them up. In fact, they still hate them because I start singing them as I'm walking down the stairs. No, Dad, it's Saturday, right? But I think it's like really just getting out of that comfort zone and just like you said, being with your kids. It doesn't matter really what you're doing, but being with them, even if it's silly, fun, stupid, uncomfortable stuff, because you're gonna get done and you're gonna go, wow, that was really fun.
Oh yeah. Yeah, sometimes you feel like, you've got to be the mature dad, and that's just, as I've gotten older, it's funny because as I've gotten older, I feel like I've gotten younger in a sense.
Oh,
I've just decided, screw it. I'm going to have fun. I'm going to do the little things with my kids, that I used to think maybe were dumb, but I'm just going to jump in and do them. And, if that means floating in a kiddie pool for 3 hours, that's what we're going to do.
especially a pink kiddie pool.
Yes, exactly. Pink is better.
That's even
That's my
better.
life with two little girls, Pink. So
Yeah,
love
I
it.
think that's been one of the great joys about having girls is discovering that, you know what, it's okay to embrace the feminine side. It's okay to play with your girls on a quote girl level, right? And just be engaged with them in a way that creates a connection.
Yep.
Because I just love my daughters. Well, I've always loved my daughters. That's kind of a weird thing to say, but I just have so much fun with them. That's what I'm saying is they're just a kick in the pants. And they're always pushing me. It's like Jessica, she's always like, hey Dad, you want to try this TikTok dance? And she'll teach me the TikTok dance, and then she'll never post it. I'm like, what? She goes, well, it's in my drafts. It's just for me.
Yeah.
And at first it kind of frustrated me,
Mhm.
right? It's like, wait, man, you have all of these awesome drafts and we're having fun together. But when she said, you know what, it's just for me, that's enough. And that really hit me. It's like, oh, she just wants the time with me. It doesn't matter. She doesn't want to share it with the world. It's just me and her time.
Which is awesome. That's really cool. I mean, that's got to mean a lot.
Yeah, it definitely hit different when she said, it's just for me, Dad. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'll quit pushing.
Yeah.
And I think we dads, sometimes we push what we want,
Mhm.
and it's really easy, especially as they're getting older. You kind of have an envision of what you think they should do, and you kind of push instead of letting them and helping them discover and explore their own unique gifts and pursuits. And I mean, for years, she's been talking about, yeah, Dad, I want to be a model. I want to be a model. I want to be a model. And I'm like, well, go be a model. And she's like, well, I don't know how to do it. And fortunately, my oldest son is actually becoming a model in LA and has a great agency. And so this week they were together, and Devin's like, look, let's just go take some pictures together and see how they turn out. And I mean, they turned out awesome. And so they send them over and they're like, hey, let's talk to you. And so now she's all excited. And it's, she's now beginning to pursue that dream. I mean, she's literally talked about it since she was 8 years old. I want to be a model.
Yeah.
I want to be a model. And so, I'm just trying to facilitate that dream and say, you know what, go try it.
No, that's awesome. One of the things that I kind of thought about as you were talking about that is, you know, I feel like when you're doing the little things with your kids, the things that they're interested in, is really when they open up and you start learning a lot more about them. My daughter loves to go on bike rides. And this was kind of one of the first times this, sort of popped in my head and I really started thinking about it. And, we went on a bike ride. I ran next to her. I just did a good jog, and we did about 3 miles. But as soon as we started, she talked to me the whole time, and she did not stop. I mean, we're talking, she was telling me about dreams she had. She was telling me, it was awesome. And it was one of the first times where she just completely opened up to me, and I learned so much. So, yeah, I mean, the little things, I think, just like you said, if you kind of do the things that they're interested in and let them, kind of pursue those things, they'll open up more to you, at least in so far in my experience.
Yeah, until they get 13, and then it'll be, Dad, get away.
Some days I feel like that with my 7-year-old, but yeah, I know every age is going to bring its new challenges, but that's part of what makes this fun.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because, what I found with my girls anyway was I was a hero in their eyes until about 12, 13, definitely by 14. No, Dad, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't understand boys. No, just don't talk to me, right? And give me the attitude and the hand and the facial thing. And then about late junior year, senior year, they start opening back up, and it's great. Now I walk in the room and the girls just come up and just either hang on my neck or cuddle up next to me if we're on the couch, and it's just great. But yeah, those phases can really test your resolve, your patience, your love, and yeah, it's an adventure. So.
But like you said, it's the small moments, that come in between. Like this morning, my daughter came in, my 4-year-old, and I'm laying in bed, and she gave me a kiss on the cheek and said, "I missed you, Dad." And it just melted my heart, to hear that. So yeah, I live for those moments. I love it.
No,
Great.
that's awesome. So let me ask you, so if a young man that's, trying to make that connection or is thinking about kids, what are one or two key tips that you think are critically important for a father or a soon to be father to know about having kids, especially girls?
I would say first one, to be present, just to be there. Um, and, the second one would be showing them love constantly, letting them know that you love them. Um, Kind of like you said at the beginning, as we were talking in the beginning of this podcast, um, you've met people who, haven't had great relationships with their father or their mother. And that was one thing. I had a great relationship with my dad. I always knew that he loved me. So, as growing up, and as having kids, that was one of the things I always told myself is, I never want my daughters growing up, you know, wondering, did dad love me? Did he care about me? I want to make sure that they know that I do, So those would be the two things: be present as a dad, always be there, listen to your kids, and then showing them love, making sure they understand that you love and care about them always.
I want to dig into that last one. So
Sure.
how do you, because I think a lot of dads struggle with that emotional connection of how to show it. So what have you done to really show your daughters that you love them? What are the things that maybe you've had to overcome, but how are you really honestly showing them, hey, you know what, dad loves you, dad's got your back, and I'm always here for you no matter what?
Well, one thing is constantly, I mean, every day I make sure I tell them I love them, right? Whether that's me going to work, coming home, I mean, doesn't matter. I want to make sure that every day I'm letting them know that, hey, I love you. Um, but then the other thing, that I try to do is anytime they're going through something difficult, and yeah, they're little kids, right? They're only 7 and 4, but to them it's difficult. And so I've going down to the level as we talked to earlier. And for me, just giving them a hug, just holding them and saying, hey, and I sit down and I try to talk to them, and have a meaningful conversation about what is going on, you know. So I would say those two things are probably the two that I really focus on with
No,
them.
no, and you actually already talked about the third one, and that's just spending time with them with things that they want to do. I keep thinking
Mhm.
about you running side by side with your daughter for 3 miles. I mean, she probably wasn't going super fast, so it was probably
Yeah.
more of a leisurely jog, but I just know, like, I just drove my daughter back down to UVU so that she could start the D1 volleyball season and training. And, we just had 5.5 hours of just driving together. And it was just great to talk about, what was coming up, what she was hoping the new season would bring about, whether COVID was going to ruin it. you
Yeah.
know, the kind of some beautiful things where she's really kind of grown and developed. And, just having that one-on-one time it was awesome. But I know, like, she had to come home early from COVID, and, she had to finish this semester doing online school. And often she would come out here in the backyard, and, I would hit her volleyball so that she could return them. And, just having, being invested in those things that are really, really important, that it really does show your kids that you love them. And it creates a great opportunity for you to connect.
Absolutely. The other thing I wanted to say, going along with the question that you asked me, something that we did do before, COVID, but going on daddy-daughter dates.
Yes.
So we, you know, I'll do them individually. We have done some together, but I like to take them out individually, let them pick where we go eat. 99% of the time it's McDonald's. Um, but then we go eat somewhere, we do a little activity, and that time right there is just, extremely meaningful to me. And I know my daughters talk about it all the time. They talk about some of the things that we did or that we ate, or we saw. And so that's another thing I would say, to somebody who's soon to be a father, would be make sure you make time to do the daddy daughter or daddy son, whatever it is, dates.
I love that. And because we did that in our family as well. And so with 6 kids, we would alternate months. Judy would take one and I'd take one. And then the next month, so they always got, alternating every other month or so. And then for their birthdays, Judy and I would take them out together and really splurge for the birthday. But it's kind of fun, because when they were young, it was McDonald's, and then started evolving to Smoky Mountain Pizza and Panda Express. So it's fun. No,
Yeah.
I'm glad you shared that, and I love your perspective. I love your energy. I can see that your girls really love you, that they look up to you. I mean, you can see the connection on TikTok. It's like that. In fact, there was one where you're trying to get them to do something. The girl's like, "I'm not sure if I want to do that, Dad."
Yeah, it was funny because, as I was trying to come up with some of these videos and these ideas, my girls they've always been really, outgoing. They like doing the activities that we do, that I video. But every once in a while, I kind of have to coax them along. And so, I told my wife, I'm like, let's make a video where they don't want to do any of it. And it just, kind of shows me sort of, trying to push them into it. I told my daughter that she could say, "This is dumb." And she was all about it. She's like, "Yeah, I'll do it," And anyway, we had a really good time putting that one together. I thought it was pretty funny.
Yeah,
So
that I was dying laughing, and it's funny because sometimes you know, we do need to push our kids, but we also need to allow them space to learn and discover and explore. But yeah, that's awesome. I love that. So one final question, and then we're going to bow out. How did you come up with your handle? Because you're not in the fitness industry. You're just a fitness enthusiast, I assume.
Yeah, so it's kind of funny. So the way it started is I wanted to put together a fitness Instagram. And so I actually, the same handle, On The Go Fitness, I have an Instagram account where I've posted some different things, more fitness related. I'm starting to do workouts and things like that. But back in October, my sister was the one who kind of, got me into this idea of creating a fitness account because I love fitness. I work out every day, almost every day. And I love it. It makes me feel great. And so I'd love to share that. We put the Instagram together and I did not post one picture or anything until I think it was March or April. It just fell off. And that's where, I told you this whole COVID-19, the quarantine has really kind of changed my perspective because I started posting on the Go Fitness. And then, 30 days ago, I said, let's try TikTok, and so I just kept the same name. And I started out with some fitness stuff, but it's really kind of evolved. And I'm going to continue to do some fitness stuff with my kids as well on it. But my whole goal with TikTok is really just to try to make people smile. Hopefully it gives them a little break out of their day to watch it and makes them laugh. But yeah, that's how I came up with the name. Like I said, I do have an Instagram page that has some fitness stuff on there, and I'm gonna be posting more on that. But yeah,
that's good.
So.
Well, Jesse, thank you so much for joining me. I mean, it's been a great conversation. Like I said, I love watching you with your girls. So guys listening, please go check him out on TikTok. It's On The Go, and that's on.the and then go_fitness. And it's just a lot of fun. And I did see your fitness stuff, and I'm like, wow. It's like, and I could see that. I was like, he probably was doing a fitness channel, and then his kids kind of took over.
Yeah, it evolved from there.
Yeah, I think that's the beauty of life, especially with kids, is you're continually moving, flexing, adjusting, evolving, and building something amazing when you're engaged with your kids. So thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me on there. I want to say I love what you're doing.
Well, thank you. So, and the rest of you guys that are tuning in, thank you guys for joining me. I want to extend the invitation out to you guys for the private Facebook group. It's Father's Fire, of course, with the Y. We just have private conversations with men only. And so you can bare your heart, your frustration, whatever. And every once in a while, we have open discussions where we can have a one-on-one or one-on-six conversation to help us all become better men, fathers, and husbands. And I just want to thank you guys for joining me every week. And we will check you guys same time, same bat channel, just next week right here on Father's Fire. See ya.